Alright, so boom. You ever had one of those relationships that has definitely got potential to go somewhere, but then somebody don't make the right move, and then all of a sudden it crumbles into obscurity? Yeah, well, through all these fun and wild experiences I got, I also got my own couple of handful of stories where it didn't go so well either. And with all the good, there's gotta come some bad, am I right? So to keep things a little fresh, we'll go back to my ShoeLocker days. This was right around when I had first started there. I was probably a month or two in, and I was helping this lady. Now for context, I'm about 5'6". This girl had to be at least 5'11" minimum. And we're vibing as I'm trying to make my sale, and I'm kind of picking up that we got some things in common. She know about basketball, she's copping basketball sneakers, but the odd thing was that she was mad tall. So I get down to the question of if she plays basketball or not. And here's where we get into this whole rabbit hole of basketball and how she used to play overseas and how she used to play in college and all this extra stuff. And when I tell you I was blown away, man, I feel like God himself came down and served me up this one on a silver platter. So we get to the topic of who our favorite basketball players are, and she goes with Kobe, which is a respectable choice, and I go with Derrick Rose. And so we share our opinions on each other's choices and whatnot, and ultimately just bonded over basketball. So after she buys her sneakers, she looks over to me and says, "Hey, I really liked our conversation," and she smiles at me. So now I feel like I'm on a game show, and I gotta pick the right choice. So I'm skimming through answers in my head, trying to picture which one's gonna be an acceptable answer at a job I just started. Naturally, I would have extended the offer right then and there to move the conversation to Instagram or something. But being that I just started, I had no idea if that was enough to get me fired. So I said something a little cheesy like, "Hey, yeah, me too. Swing by if you ever want to play basketball or something one day." And that was the last time I ever seen her. Following this, my coworkers all huddle around me like I hit some type of game winner or something, and they asked if I got her Instagram. And I had to disappoint everybody and tell them I didn't. And that's when my manager, Jose, he told me I could ask for Instagrams and all that and I'll be good. So now I'm sure by now you can see where this story's gonna go. I call these type of moments phantom relationships because they always start out looking promising and then they go straight to the graveyard. So now back in high school, where I probably led the league in phantom relationships, I always, even to this day, think about this one relationship that had the potential to go somewhere and it went nowhere. So in my high school, we had the same schedule every day. And the cool thing was that we got to play gym every day. So there was always competitions going on. The bad thing was that the pre and post gym antics that always happened in this mythical place called the locker room was insane. See, the locker room was like an intermission exchange between students who had gym and were just changing to leave and students who were just arriving and getting ready for their turn in the NBA finals. I mean, this place was something out of a movie, and not in a good way either. You had dudes in the corner whipping each other with shirts, another set of dudes playing dice, gambling for money, the few kids who everybody knew smoked, but they tried to hide it anyway. I even remember these two kids one time on the football team, they went and took some crazy out-of-pocket pictures with each other, and this all happened in the vicinity of the boys' locker room, and you can't ever forget the smell of that axe waiting for you right at the door. So naturally, I was always trying to be in and out, no messing around. Plus, being around dudes in that manner definitely wasn't my vibe. So it's post-gym. I probably just finished averaging a double-double on Timmy from algebra, and I'm on my way to my next class. And on my way there, I stumbled on a complete gem. I was blown away by Shorty's looks. She was straight heaven sent. So knowing how this world works, I immediately approach her and get her name. Her name was Aaliyah, and she was definitely one of the prettiest girls in my entire school. Shorty was mixed with Dominican and Filipino, I think. But either way, she was handcrafted straight from the man upstairs. So I spit some game, nothing crazy, and then I figured that tomorrow I'll just double back and get her Instagram. And everything went according to plan until I realized tomorrow I was going to pull off a 5v1. And by a 5v1, I mean it's Aaliyah and 4 of her friends in a group all headed to the gym and little old me. So now I'm panicking because for some reason girls intimidate me in groups. I don't know, but I did my best to try to overcome my fears and get to business. So I finally reach her, and I'm thinking I'm going to just say I liked our conversation yesterday, and I wanted to see if I could get her Instagram, but of course, that is not how it went. I got next to her and probably let out the quietest high in my life. Bro, it was so low that she didn't even acknowledge me and kept on passing by me as if I was a ghost. And that was it for that time then. But a couple months later, I got another opportunity at a football game, but it ended with me leaving empty-handed anyway. So now this football game wasn't even meant to be attended by me anyway, but we'll get to that in another story later on. So I'm chilling with the guys in the bleachers, we're watching our team get absolutely smoked, and who else but fine shit catches my eye. So I figured talking to her would be way better than watching this team get massacred on the field. So I head over to her, and I'm able to get me, her, and her friend away from the bleachers and alone to where I could probably spit some game. And then lo and behold, the dean comes through with the cock block of the century. We were told that if we left the bleachers, there was no coming back in, and off we went back into her little group of friends. And looking back on this now, the 5v1 wasn't so bad. Now I gotta try to scream over the PA system, scream over the crowd, and on top of that, scream to her. And all this, her friends look like they way more invested in what I had to say than she was anyway. And that's where this dweeb named Jackson decides he's gonna come in and scream that I have a girlfriend and to not listen to me. And after all that was said, the entire vibe changed like instantly. You could immediately tell in her face that whatever interest she did have was completely gone. And now to make all the matters worse, one of her little friends tried to shoo me off and say, "Hey bro, she's not feeling you." And I had to check him. Like, you know what I mean? What you doing? And that definitely didn't put me in any better of a standing than I did have to begin with, now that I think about it. But anyway, it is what it is. If me and her would have worked out, there probably wouldn't be a YouTube channel where I'll be telling all these crazy stories. And she isn't the only one who could have prevented this channel from coming through though. Remember Michelle from my first video? We're gonna get right into that story now. It's freshman year, 2017, you know, when life was apparently in its prime for everybody. I met the coolest person ever. I remember coming into my gym class and immediately spotting a girl who I didn't recognize. See, a lot of the fellow freshmen in my high school were kids who also went to my middle school, so it was a lot of familiar faces. But not her. She was new. I remember she had this beautiful brown skin that was glowing, her hair was mad curly, and her braces complemented the entire look as if she was some innocent girl who was just effortlessly stealing the spotlight. Michelle and I hit it off well, and it was going great, honestly. Nothing crazy, but things were going just the way you'd want them to go when you like someone you just met. We'll skip some personal stuff she went through while I was away in Florida to protect her image and all, but it was something that definitely built our bond to be stronger. I remember coming back, and a few kids I played basketball with happened to catch wind of this sensational girl I've been talking to and thought they could one-up me. They all of a sudden now were looking to impress her too, and that unfortunately messed everything up for me. I remember she kind of got mad at me and questioned why my friends and myself were all going after the same girl. And here's the thing, I knew of these kids. I hung out with the kids when a basketball game was involved, but those kids was nowhere close to being my friends. Now mind you, me and Shorty wasn't even dating, we was just friends. And on top of that, I can't control what others do, so what was I really supposed to do? But anyway, freshman year carries on, I broke my arm playing basketball, and to make everything worse than what it already is, me and her were on FaceTime one time, months after everything happened between us, and she admits that she actually liked me the entire time. But unfortunately, she found out I had hoes, and she didn't want nothing to do with that situation because she went through something similar in her old school and wanted to avoid some more drama at this new school. I tried to reassure her that none of the girls I was messing with would even do anything to her, and that of course they'd all be cut off, but she wasn't trying to hear that at the time. But anyway, things happened for a reason, and I was cool with how it was going by then. And to be honest, I think the way everything turned out, it happened to build more maturity for our relationship as friends anyway, and it made it easier for us to connect and communicate going forward. The story don't end here. It actually picks up a lot more from this. So let me go ahead and be the stereotypical I was there from the start guy, but I genuinely was. I want all of y'all to know, Michelle could dance. Like it was something super special about the way Shorty danced. Back then, before TikTok was TikTok, it was actually called Musical.ly, and she would put all her videos on there and then post them to Snapchat after. And here's where Guapo, every time she posed, would be telling her how good she was and how much potential she had with dancing. And I wasn't saying that only because I liked her. I was genuinely saying it because it was dead facts. Shorty really knew how to dance. Anyway, keep this in mind for later because that potential will go on to lead to our last time speaking. So now it's somewhere in my junior year, and I'm dating one of my other high school crushes, and she was on the same dance team as Michelle. I was drained in the relationship, but I stayed because of my pride and my ego. However, that didn't mean I was always looking for ways out. I remember approaching Michelle one time and kind of laying out the cards about how I still always liked her and wanted to pursue something serious with her, but the fact that they were on the same dance team, it was too close for comfort, and she denied it. Don't get me wrong, she contemplated it, even asked me how we would do it, but I guess the drama that would have followed wasn't going to be worth it, and she wasn't wrong to be honest. And now for the meat and the potatoes of our friendship. It's post-graduation, like probably a couple months after we graduated. I was hustling doing Uber Eats and DoorDash, and I had to pick up this order from Chipotle. So I walk in, and almost immediately I hear somebody seductively calling my name. I look around, and boom, it's Michelle. She's working there now, and we haven't spoken since probably the last time I asked her out, which was junior year, but it wasn't nothing personal. Anyway, we agreed to reconnect and catch up, and we did, but it was short and quick. Definitely not how I seen it going, especially after all we had been through together. And I don't mean that as in I expected a relationship or something, but the way the events occurred in our life, it was a little uncalled for in my opinion. So for reference, my aunt had purchased a family pack of tickets to a New York Mets game, and it came with like 20 tickets. And now a lot of people bailed on us last minute, and as a result, it was mad tickets up for grabs. So my cousin, he like, yo man, why don't you bring a girl over with all these extra tickets we got? So this is where I thought to myself, what better way to reconnect with Michelle than sharing our recent and new experiences through a baseball game, right? Wrong. I remember asking her if she wanted to go, and that would literally be the last thing I think she ever seen of mine, because next thing you know, she popped out with a boyfriend not too long later. Now here's what bothered me. We went through so much as friends that she could have just told me she was seeing somebody, and I wouldn't have cared. But also, she met this kid through her dancing. She did so well and put herself out there that a famous singer noticed her and invited her out to a music video shoot, and I guess that's where her and this kid met, because he was this artist's nephew. I was defeated, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I was definitely mad jealous that somebody who danced and did tricks with a hat outshined me. After all those years of supporting her though, I got ghosted and it hurt, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, this ain't a therapy session. Everything happens for a reason, and if I got what I wanted out of any of those times, I probably wouldn't have had any of these other times to tell y'all here on YouTube. And as for Michelle, she out there killing it, y'all. She's over there performing at halftime for professional basketball teams. I think she performed at MSG for A Boogie, and I was told she went on tour with French Montana as a dancer as well. And I'm really proud of her, and I hope she continues to take over the way she's been doing it. And as for y'all, hope y'all have a good Valentine's Day, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.